my decision to have a collision with my purpose. It is my assignment to be in alignment with my purpose. I'm locked in, going all out, no fear, no doubt. My God, my choice, your will, I'm all yours. Locked in, going all out, no fear, no doubt. My God, my choice, your will, your will, your will. Locked in my decision to have a collision with my purpose. It is my assignment to be in alignment with my purpose. Have a collision with purpose, 'cause you know that you're worth it, and your dream is worth capturing. If I'm not living on purpose, then none of it is worth it. My assignment is uplifting souls for the King, souls for the King, souls for the King.
Greetings, friends of the A Collision with Purpose movement. Welcome to Bridging Generations, Voices of Men in a Changing World. I am Dr. Laxley Stephenson. This groundbreaking podcast delves into the multifaceted experiences of men across different generations. In an era where societal norms and expectations rapidly evolve, this show offers young and older men a unique platform to voice their challenges, triumphs, and perspectives.
Each episode aims to foster understanding and bridge the gap between generations, exploring themes ranging from masculinity and mental health to career dynamics and personal relationships. By bringing together voices from varied age groups, the show sheds light on the commonalities and differences in the male experience, encouraging our dialogue and mutual learning. I am Garfield McCook, one of your hosts.
Look, and so this show, Bridging Generations, definitely helps men transition through the complexities of life, especially in this changing world. I am one of your co-hosts, Dr. Juan Marcel. Doc, what's going on?
Oh man, doctors, what's going on? That's what I should be saying right now. What is happening? So many things happening. We just had a major shift in leadership in America. Election is over, and we have a new elected president. Dr. McCook, how you doing, man?
I am doing good, Dr. Stephenson. Again, yes, 2 days post-election, getting back to some reality or normalcy as much as we can, and just sitting with bated breath, waiting to see what's ahead of us.
You know, changes can be challenging, but we must prepare ourselves to deal with whatever it is, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not about who's leading us. It's about what we're doing with our lives that matters, right? So, Dr. Juan, what's going on with you?
Man, a lot, but in regards to this Tuesday, results from Tuesday, just a lot of reflection. Definitely a lot of reflection. And in their reflection, just, and we'll talk about this a little later, but just really getting a gauging where the disconnect was. I think I spent some time just doing that, just kind of seeing what more we could do. I agree with what you said, just it's about what we're doing. I've talked to a couple of friends already just about what it looks like to be more busy and focused on organizing. And what does it look like at a local level? just to prepare for the next coming years. So it's been doing a lot of that, just thinking through the next move and what that looks like and how bridge the gap between those who have a sense and understanding of how voting and politics and elections work, and those who just go just to go so they can say they go. So just trying to figure out what that looks like and how to be more involved to educate our community on a greater level.
On a greater level. Let's bring on Dr. Art Hines. I see he's backstage. Dr. Hines, how are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Well, I'm good. I'm good. You know, we have a panel here tonight. We have Dr. Art Hines, we have Dr. Marcel, and we have Dr. McCook. And tonight we're going to talk about some important things, some significant things. We're going to discuss what happened Tuesday with the election, at least what we believe happened from our perspective. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we go there, we have a big, giant event coming up, right? I say giant event, a very important, significant event. It's called the Colloquium. So Juan, we're going to be honoring you at the event. I want you to share your perspective. Talk to us about what your expectations are and what whoever is out there that will be attending, what should they expect?
I'm expecting it's definitely an opportunity to network, to grow relationships, to cultivate relationships, cultivate existing relationships. I think those who are coming should expect to be, number one, blown away just at the remarkable work that so many individuals are doing in their communities. And then just to see, I'm always just in awe of how far the reach is, you know, to Africa, to Jamaica, you know, just across the waters, even across this country. So I would say they should just expect to meet individuals from across the world. The entertainment, scholarships for young adults, seeing what the work continuing through advancing degrees, the continuing education and funding dreams. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is watching dreams become reality for a lot, and not just high school students, but even those who are being honored. You know, a lot of times we go through life without recognition, and I think recognizing, as you would say, the unsung heroes is a major give back. So I think that's what I'm expecting, what they should expect, and just to see a movement in motion. So I'm excited.
And of course, as an honoree, you will get to share, your story. You get to share your story. So, what for me, what it really is about the scholarships. It's about giving these scholarships. And for a student to receive a scholarship, they must be in attendance. And along with that is students can attend the event for free. There's no charge to students. So that's a big deal. In my estimation, that's a big deal. And so, Dr. Hines, you're also an honoree. Can you share with anyone out there watching or will watch this replay your perspective about the colloquium coming up, your Odyssey to Find Purpose?
Yes, absolutely. Last year, we had a very similar program, and it focused on purpose. It zeroed in on helping people to understand what is God's purpose for their life. What is the purpose of being here? Now, it was a wonderful initiative, and a lot of people left there fulfilled. However, there were some who left there and said, well, yeah, I learned a lot about purpose. I've been thinking about my purpose a lot. Can appreciate reading about the people purpose who has written about their purpose in the book. And the book that was highlighted last year is A Collision with Purpose. And that is where a number of the authors of the chapters in the book spoke about their personal collision with purpose. This year, it will be an extension to that very topic. And I think this is going to be a wonderful extension because I did hear some attendees last year say, well, yeah, that was good, but I thought it was going to help me find my purpose. And I'm very, very happy to be able to announce to them this year that there will be the opportunity for them to engage with a book that is going to be available this year, somewhat similar to a workbook. And once they engage with that book and complete the engagement, they will come out with a very refined illustration and understanding of what their purpose is. So I think this is just a wonderful, wonderful extension of what we started last year. I think this year is going to be absolutely fantastic. So you have that to look forward to. You come in, you will get a book that will help you to understand your purpose, and it will zero in on you specifically so that you can absolutely find your own purpose as a result. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Dr. Hines. And Dr. McCook, you will be speaking at the event, you'll be a speaker. Last year, you was an honoree, so of course we couldn't honor you 2 years in a row. so your perspective, what will you be looking forward to, and what will the attendees?
Well, let me play on the word honor. I was honored last year, and it's an honor this year to be a speaker. So just a play on the word honor. But purpose. We've had conversations, all four of us, about purpose changing over years. Your circumstances. I think someone's purpose is an ever evolving experience, because in life your experience is what is going to drive you to what that next purpose is. So we can have many purposes, and I've always said it's a stage. It's just not one thing. You're born, and yes, by the time you're 10 years old, you may not be equipped as yet to know where you want to go in life. But then you start, you go through your school and you say, okay, you want to be a doctor, or you want to be a mechanic, and you start looking at your purpose. But as life goes on and the environment around you, I think it has a whole lot to do with the changing. It's like a tree growing up and you have different branches going off. So I think last year was a great experience. The scholarship portion of it, I think it's vital, because we're showing the community out there that kids are important, and we got to start from when they are young to make them be aware. Make them be aware that there are folks that are ahead of them who have paved the way and are giving back to society. And that's where those we're looked at as unsung heroes. So I'm looking forward to it. Last year, I keep going back to the decoration and the atmosphere. It was the first time. And Dr. Lax, kudos again to you. We're looking forward to your book signing again this year. And I know you've reached out to kids and parents who are listening and doing a replay. Bring your kids along. Let them start here. I think it's a generational growth. And we got to start right here and show them that we're concerned about them. We want to be a part of their lives, and we want to show them to start focusing from now so they can see what their purpose is. Again, it's going to change. It's going to change as we go along. But congratulations to Dr. Juan and Dr. Art has been honorees this year. You guys are unsung heroes. It's amazing in life. You know, you sit down and you see a lot of people out there getting recognition for A, B, and C, and D. And sometimes people they deliberately do things to be recognized. I think it's more fulfilling when someone comes and tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, this that you have been doing for so long is really a good deed, and I know you're doing it from the heart, and you weren't looking for anything. And here, someone is coming and tapping you on the shoulder and say, kudos to you. Here is a award, a certificate, or something, some recognition." Because I think in life, we need to feel empowered with that recognition. Someone saying, "Hey, what you're doing is not worthless. It's worthwhile. Although you may think it as insignificant, you do it doing your daily chores. It's your normal. It's nothing exceptional you doing to yourself, or you don't think that. But people recognize you. And again, looking forward to the colloquium this year. Folks, get on, buy your tickets. Dr. Lax will give you where you can go purchase your tickets to come and be a part of something, a great movement.
Great movement indeed. So this year we're recognizing individuals from as far as Kenya, from Jamaica, from here in Atlanta, from New York, from California, from, you could say, from everywhere, right? We're recognizing people from, and not only are we recognizing, they will be present. We have individuals traveling from Kenya, traveling from Jamaica. I think we have at least 2 or 3 coming from Jamaica. We have, of course, we have Dr. Juan and Dr. Art from here, and other individuals from here as well, from Atlanta and from Florida. So I'm really looking forward to that. But as I've said earlier, and you elaborated on that, Dr. McCook, the piece that really stands out for me is the scholarships, giving back to the future, or future leaders, future generations. For me, that's a big piece, because at the Collegium with Purpose, we're all about building communities. Mm-hmm. And you know, another big thing that I want to talk about a little bit is, I recall last year when one of the honorees, he said that he's received so many awards from so many different organizations, but this one, the Collegium Purpose Keystone Community Keystone Award, was the top for him, is because he's receiving it from family, from friends, from people close to him. And that really and truly made him feel good. Because indeed, Juan and Art and you, Dr. McCook, we're not just doing the work, they're doing the work together.
Yeah.
We're working together. So indeed, we are that. We are families, you know, working together, making a difference. And when we can come together collectively, as individuals coming together collectively and doing work in our own communities, I believe that's a big, big deal. That's a huge deal. So again, one, not from the colloquium perspective, but from your personal perspective, I want you to reflect and just add to what I just said.
You know, personally, I think it's, well, I'll put it this way. You know, my expertise and background in education is centered on college and career readiness. So the biggest part for me definitely has always been being recognized, as well as recognizing others, but providing a snapshot to young individuals at what it could look like, staying in tune and active in your community. For the biggest thing to me for a younger generation is seeing individuals serving their communities. And I think personally, that's what it's about to me, for me, is serving the community, but igniting that spark in someone else. Like it's been mentioned before, a lot of people left like on fire, like, I know what I want to do now, or I don't know what I want to do, but I know it's something, so I need to go tap in and figure out what it is. And having young individuals leave there, anybody, but especially young individuals leave there wanting to discover or either further their understanding of their purpose is what it's about for me. So I think that's major, you know, getting them ready for life, because life is about what you do for others, what you give, and so personally, I think that's what it means to me. And then providing this platform, to hear people's story. That's the second thing for me, is allowing others to tell their journey, how they reached this point, and what more they're planning on doing, so that's what it means to me. It's major, it's big.
Okay, awesome. Gentlemen, let's take a quick break and then we'll come back. We'll, share our insights about what happened last Tuesday. So you're watching A Collision with Purpose, Bridging Generation, Voices of Men. We welcome you. We're going to take a quick break right now.
I'm a boy kid, I'm a boy kid. I'm a boy kid, I'm a boy kid. I wake up in the morning and I praise the Lord. I thank Him for His protection, and I walk in His steps, declaring that today's provision is set up for me. I love God and I love my friends. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I put on my armor and I write His word, blessing come out of my mouth. Cause I know to whom I belong, I am bold for Christ. Holy Spirit dwelling within me, carrying His presence wherever He sends me. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. Loving others as He told me to pray, for healing miracles to see, knowing my identity in Christ, He is in me. I am a bold kid, He loves me, standing firm on His word, proclaiming everything I heard, not afraid because He is with me. Be bold. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. Put on my armor and I write His word, blessing come out of my mouth. Because I know to whom I belong, I am bold for Christ. Holy Spirit dwelling within me, carrying His presence wherever He sends me. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid.
Welcome back. Welcome to Virgin Generations, Voices of Men. We have here with us tonight, we have Dr. Juan Marcel, we have Dr. Garfield McCook, and Dr. Hines. He's having some technical difficulties, as you can see. But just to make a public announcement, we have the grand opening of K Galleries on Friday, November 15, 2024, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And the address is, if I can read it, I believe it's 106 North McDonough Street in Jonesboro, Georgia. This is just a big deal. Garfield, you want to add anything to this announcement here? Because I know you're in touch with this event.
Yeah, well, and we're really looking. There's a whole lot of work that was put in, to make this a reality. And we encourage folks out there to come and support. When people have a vision and they bring the vision to light, it not only helps them, but it helps us as a community. And support. We need the support, and looking forward for those who can make it to be there to give that support that is needed for that vision to continue to benefit us all.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. McCook. All right, so we're back. I see Dr. Hines is behind the scene again. I'm going to bring him on. Welcome back, Dr. Hines. You're having some technical difficulties here, but your persistence and your resilience really stands out, and we appreciate that. Now, let's pivot a little bit and talk. Let's pivot a little bit and talk about what happened last Tuesday. I want to start out with a question, we'll start with you, Juan. What do you think are the main factors that influence the outcome of the election?
Honestly, I think there's a gap, and I honestly don't think that there was a strong feeling of security in their vote for the VP. Because if you look at the results, there was an increase in a lot of areas that well, an increase in a lot of areas for Trump, that the Democrats had before, and that was Latino voters, young men, black men, and so those were points that helped Trump win, especially the swing states. So I think it had something to do with just the confidence in her ability. Just to be honest, I honestly think that we've had well, it's not they're not the first two, but recently had Hillary Clinton, and now Kamala Harris, women campaign for the presidency and not win. So I think there's something in them being women, that may have affected their the vote.
Are you suggesting that this country is not ready for a woman to be president?
I don't know if we're not ready, but I will say that I believe that it's not I don't think it's a desire, to be honest with you. If the country is at large is what I'm speaking of, I don't think that it's a desire. I really don't know what the country is ready for, but I don't think that it's a want or a desire. If I can be honest.
A want or a desire. Dr. McCook, can you jump in on this, please?
Yeah, we had two candidates that were who had two different visions, or were using different tools to fulfill those visions to the public, to the American people. One was Kamala, who was more being empathetic, with everyone, a poised person, trying to bring some normalcy or some decency to our society. But folks sort of preferred someone else who is going to be more vocal and use different tools which are not the norm, but he has found that those tools work because he's speaking to a certain, if you want to say a congregation, he's up there in the pulpit speaking to a certain congregation, and they just bought into it. For years, we have spoken about women's rights. I remember back in the 70s when, things started and, we're talking about equality and all that stuff. America is not equal in that thought process as yet. To have a female, and especially a black female, running. I guarantee you, if it was a female but not an African American, the results may have been different. But the other party, the president-elect, he focused on immigration. He finds that, look, people are going to respond to this. We're over here talking about our main thing, not our main, the Democrats' main thing was abortion and all that stuff. These people, they hear it, but it's not really impacting them. They're looking in their pocketbook. What is over here, right? Your groceries are everything is so expensive. So I think he hit the right nerve. Not I think, he did hit the right nerve. That's why he's the president-elect. So we cannot give up, because just us here surviving in America and in Georgia, we've come a long way. So the journey is still, they're still on the journey, and it's going to happen one day. But the day is not now, or it was not on Tuesday.
Certainly was not on Tuesday. It's worth noting that just today the Feds cut interest rate, right? For what it's worth, right? What's the significance? Of the implications of that? I'm not sure. So, Dr. Hines, from your perspective, yes, your lenses, do you believe our country or America is ready for a woman president, and especially a black one?
Well, I had hoped so, but at the same time, this election has tarnished that hope because it has brought into focus to me the reality that America is not ready for a female, or especially a black female. I think gender is still a factor, it's an issue in America where there's a very substantial portion of the population who believes that women shouldn't lead them. Now, there's a pretty substantial Hispanic population, and they will tell you straight up, we came from a culture where women don't lead us. So, quite naturally, they're going to be the ones who are going to stand against the female as the leader of the country. If you take a look at who voted for whom, you will see that the top three groups that voted for Trump were the white males, the white females, and the Hispanic males. If you look at the top three groups that voted for Kamala Harris, you will find it was the black females, the black males, and the Hispanic females. So that to me tells me that there's a segment of people who honestly will stand against electing a female as the head of the government leadership in this country. As further proof, I look back at the contest between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton, in my opinion, was one of the most qualified people to ever run for president in America, as far as I can tell. She was very extremely qualified, and at the time, she was also opposing a candidate who was a novice in government. And America turned that deal down. They said, no, we don't want a female who has tremendous amount of experience in government. We would much rather take a novice who has no experience in government and make him the head of. So that to me is just further proof that America knows it's not ready for a female to be president.
Solid points. You know, you said something about black males voting for the vice president, but you should also note that an increasing amount of black males voted for the president-elect, which made a huge difference. So I think that should also, that to me, that was even more significant in terms of the outcome.
Yeah.
Because they're saying that some, whatever, high percentage of black males also voted. So I thought that was quite interesting. Now, who should we vote for, right? Should it matter whether the race or what, you know, or should we just vote for the candidate we believe will do the best job for us? That really is the question. And so given that is a question, I want to ask, regarding the voter turnout among black communities this election, do you feel our voices will be recognized and valued, shaping decision making in the future? And let's start with you, Juan.
I think I'll put it this way, I think the more we do on a grassroots level, on the ground, educating, I think that's the voice that we'll have. The more that we know, the more knowledge that we have. I think, to be honest with you, and I felt this way even after Tuesday, I was a little disappointed. Not necessarily just the results, but when I thought about the lack of knowledge that we have or understanding when it comes to how this thing works, the electoral vote. What does that mean? What does it mean on a local and state level? All of these things. And I think because of that, if that doesn't increase and we do a better job with educating our own people, our households, our communities, I don't think our voice will have an impact. But I think the more that we push to educate, I think education is the biggest thing. And number one, and working and rallying together, I think it will have some type of effect if we're able to do that.
And that's a good point. And I have not really followed up to see how the candidates I supported locally, the results, and that's something I really need to look into. Dr. McCook, the same question to you. Do you believe that our voices will be heard, will make a difference where it really matters?
Yes,
you're making.
Yes, I do. And if you look at history again, in the 60s, our voices, we were talking or speaking, but it was we were pushed down. We were put in the background. But we continued, and we may not have been boisterous, but we were steadfast, and we kept the course. So I think this is similar. One day, maybe we may not be here, but if we as leaders here today continue to let our voices heard and have the kids that are looking up to us realize that, yes, your voice, your vote is very important, I think eventually it will happen. It's just the growing pains we're going through. Art mentioned about Hillary Clinton, very educated, but female, didn't make it. So there's a lot of hurdles we got to go through. First, we have to realize that women can lead. I never forget Margaret Thatcher. She was one of those who she led with an iron. She did her thing, and was well respected, and did well. For the world, and it will happen. We just have to be patient, but not lose focus, and just keep chucking, and it will happen. It will happen. It's a shame that in this country the reality is right there. One of the things I would say, one of the things I admire about this country, most people, they tell you exactly how things are. They're not hiding, right? So is that good or bad? It's good. Some people will hide, and then they come and they do something other than they say they're going to do. But this country, they tell you we have a great democratic system. That Tuesday is gone, and Wednesday morning my life was back to normal. Not that it was abnormal, but it was very tense. I went to bed about 12:30 that morning with my fingers and everything, toes and everything crossed, but it was getting a little painful. So I had to move on and just think about what we can do to continue for our voices to be heard. And one day, hopefully while we're still around, we will see that joy of having a female president in the United States.
The vice president, she gave a speech, and she accepted defeat. And that was powerful, right? That was a big deal. And I want to bring it back to what Art said and what you just, confirmed, that Hillary Clinton, very qualified. So one thing is obvious and very clear, that women can lead and sometimes make much better leaders than men. I think back to my personal life, and two of the two individuals that mentored me and probably have to shape me more than any other individuals on earth are women. And if mentoring is leading, right? That's leadership, right? And so there's no doubt about it that women are more than capable. I think we're in a country where majority is not ready to acknowledge that women can be leaders. And if you look back in history and look at the world we live in, a reasonable person can argue that it's a mess. And look at who's been leading. Who brought us to that messy place? Men, right? It's not women. Yeah, and I think you can agree we're living in a messy world. So Dr. Hines, we'll take it back to you. And
Yes.
question: voices. Do you think our voices will be heard?
Oh, absolutely. We have a history of slavery in this country, and if you think about where we were and where our voices were at that time and compare it to where it is today, you must admit, there's no way you cannot admit that we've come a long ways based on the voices that we were unable to raise properly during the olden time, during slavery, as opposed to where we are today. I think we've made a lot of progress, but progress does not move forward in a straight line. Progress moves forward and then back. Forward and then back. And I'll give you an example of that. When slavery ended, we moved forward. We literally, as Black people, were able to elect politicians to Congress. And we were doing very well. But that progress threatened a lot of people. And when that progress threatened people, then there's always going to be energy and movement to set it back. So that's exactly what happened. The politicians were thrown out of Congress. There was movement to destroy the progress that had been made, and that came in terms of business progress. There were people who were former slaves that used their skills to build, develop commerce, and opposing forces say, well, no, we'll burn that doggone store down. And they did in many instances. You may have recalled Black Wall Street was burned down. That was a backlash. Then Jim Crow is a policy that pretty much took over with the government's endorsement. That was basically said that, okay, you are inferior and white is supreme over you, so you go sit in the back of the bus. And the superior forces will have the say, and you just sit back and you keep your mouth shut. But at the same time, that didn't prevail. In 1965, when there were the Voting Rights Act kicked in, that gave us back our voices to a certain extent. There were fair housing that kicked in during that time, gave us the right to buy a home on our own. There were government policies before fair housing that you were not going to get a loan to buy a home, especially if you want to buy a home in a white neighborhood. That was just absolutely impossible. It was against the law. So it wouldn't happen. But in 1965, we moved forward when the Fair Housing Act came in, and that gave us a forward movement. We were able to go out and we buy homes, and we started to move forward again. And at the same time, Jim Crow had to take a back seat. But at the same time, it never went away. There were always oppressive policies to keep you from voting, to keep you from positions that make policy. And even recently, when we elected a president of the United States, President Obama, you know, everybody had a good feeling about it, well, thinking that, well, we're moving forward pretty fast, and we were moving forward. We are moving forward. But just to kind of go back to your question, yeah, I think we will always move forward. My grandmother had a saying, when things look bleak, she will say, well, we just got to watch, fight, and pray. So that's a part of my mantra, even today. And my grandmother been gone 50 years. Watch, fight, and pray. So neither one of those should be neglected. So we just watch and understand. Don't just sit back and do nothing. We got to do something, fight. And then the God Almighty has got control of the whole thing. So pray, and I think we'll be fine. We'll continue to move forward.
Indeed. Indeed. You know, collectively, if there's such thing as a black vote, do you believe there are certain parties that have expectation or taking the votes for granted, are not working hard enough to garner such a vote? Juan, we'll start with you.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
What's the question again? Do I believe?
You know, if collectively, if there's such a thing as the black vote, we talk about Hispanics, and do you believe that certain parties, political parties, are taking the votes for granted, are not working hard enough to garner these votes?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think, you know, I'll say this. I do believe that they figured. I think they pay attention to who's more prone. It's just looking at stats to vote, and it's been black women and younger voters, and I think that's who they often sway when it comes to wanting to see a particular outcome. I think this time around, I think for the blue, they expected black and brown men to show up in a way that they hadn't before, and they did. However, but they didn't move in a way they thought they would. They actually, I mean, they still voted, but there was, like you said, there was an increase for the president elect, and so I think that oftentimes they pass over when it comes to a black vote, you know, the voice or the vote of black men. And I think I think it deserves strategizing on how to engage black and brown men when it comes to voting.
So are they taking our votes for granted? Are they working hard enough to get our votes? or there's an expectation that we will vote in alignment with the certain parties?
I think there's an alignment. I don't know if they I feel like they take for granted our vote. I really do. I don't think that they expect us to show up as strongly as our counterparts. To be honest.
Dr. McCook, your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a similar response in that they think the Democrats think they have the black vote, and that in itself can lead them not to be good listeners to what the folks are saying or what their needs are. And if you have somebody on the other side who is going to realize that there's a weakness there because they're taking these folks for granted, they're going to come in and offer you candy. And you're going to jump at that candy. And you're going to say, how come my own people are not giving me the candy, but this man over here is giving me the candy that I need? So I think, you got to be a good listener. You can't wait until it's election time to show up for your folks. You have to show them during the 3 years leading up to the election that we're here for you. And I think it's just a missed opportunity, but it's something that can be fixed. Now, sometimes you may have lost the folks, and you can't get them back because they're saying you've been like this forever and ever and ever. So why should I believe in you? What have you done for me? And that's what people always do. Look back and say, what have you done for me? During this election time, one of the things the Republicans were saying, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? What have they done for you? And if they can point to the pain that we're feeling in our pockets when we go to the grocery store, and that little thing that was done where a check was issued, which was approved by Congress, but it had the signature of, there are different strategies and they play on your mind. So we got to find, I won't say we should be playing the mind game, but we got to find a way to mix the mind game with reality and let folks realize that, yes, we are there for them and don't just take us for granted.
That question, are you better off, is one of those kind of questions, right? That almost going to get the wrong answer. Because look at the data, there's improvement. The country is in real good recovery. And there's so many good things happening. But the moment you say, are we better off? People are going to look at the one or two things that are not working as opposed to the big picture of all the good things that are happening. Because there's so many good things that happen under the Biden administration. Amazing stuff happened. But when when that question is asked and you're going to just focus on that one thing that is not working, because so Dr. Hines, what is your take on that? Is the Democratic Party taking the black vote for granted, believe they own it?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of my pet peeves with the Democratic Party. Black people are quoted very heavily by the Democratic Party during election times. And we, en masse, go to the polls and we vote Democrat. Unfortunately, what has happened in the past is that once that vote is cast and the Democrats win, then that unfortunately has been the end of the story until next time. I don't put the total blame on the Democrats. A pretty substantial portion of that blame has to go right squarely on the backs of the black people who allow that to keep happening over and over and over again. Our role as black people, if we voted for a party is to hold them accountable once they are elected, but we don't do that. You know, that's part of that watch, fight, and pray. We stop watching. Once we make that vote at the poll, we just kind of forget about it. So what we have to do, and we have to own it, we have to take full responsibility for making sure that there is an accountability with the Democratic Party, whom most of our people vote for, but we got to make sure that we get some benefit in return. Fortunately, we are becoming more and more aware of what has happened to us, and more of us over time are being more and more reluctant to allow that to keep happening. But I think the awareness needs to be stepped up into action. So I think until we hold the Democrats' feet to the fire once they get in office, it will continue to happen. But as I said before, I don't totally blame the Democrats 100% because we share responsibility for that. So I think we got to wake up and we got to take some action.
Absolutely. But what you're talking about, that awareness, that new awareness, what the end result of that is driving more Democrats to vote for the other side, and that's what we saw in this election, and made a huge difference in the outcome of this election. You know, I think what you know. No, go ahead.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think, you know, that now some people say that 20% of the black males voted for Republicans this time around. That number could be accurate. It may not be accurate, but at the same time, I would say there's a percentage of black males who jumped ship with the Democrats. And part of the reason why some jumped ship for that very cause, you know, I voted Democrat for years and years and years, and look where that has got me. But at the same time, it has an element of pointing the finger, whereas, you know, there needs to be some finger pointing, but there also needs to be some looking in the mirror too.
Yeah, absolutely. Think about this for a minute. We live in a country where a few states determine the outcome of an election, right? A few states, they call them battleground states. If you live in another state where you feel as if your vote is not useless but not as valued, what are your thoughts on that? You know, because this time around there was a total shift. You even look at New York State. The president-elect performed very well there in New York State. So is there a shift or something happening that is different? Or is it because there was a woman running against a white male? Juan?
I think
I think it's.
Oh, go ahead, Doug.
Go ahead, Dr. Hines, go ahead. He's on a time delay, if you notice. There's a delay.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons for, you know, the swing states is that there are some states that historically have voted Republican, and they've never wavered. So you can reliably state that this state will vote Republican, period. And there are some states that will reliably vote Democrat. California, for example. California has voted Democrat for ages. So, but there are some states that will vacillate. They will swing from Democrat on this particular time. They'll swing, vote Republican on that time. They will vote for President Obama, and then the next time they'll vote for former President Trump. so it's the swing states that most of the energy goes into, because both parties feel that, well, I will have more influence in a swing state than I will have in a state that is historically, if it's the Democratic Party. And if I spend all of my time and energy in Mississippi, and I know that that state has historically voted Republican for years, well, then I think I'm missing the mark. So they would rather spend their time and their energy and resources in a state like Pennsylvania. Sometime it'll vote Democrat, sometime it'll vote Republican. So I think that's kind of the energy behind the swing states. And I think right now, I wouldn't say, I was trying to think of examples for the state of New York. I'm not quite sure. They're still a Democratic state. You can pretty much rely on them. But if there is a tendency toward higher numbers of Republicans for New York, it probably is, but I'm not really sure, to tell you the truth, why.
New York is definitely a Democratic stronghold, but from the congressional standpoint, there's a major shift. In California, there's a big shift in the congressional districts. If you pay attention to that, there are more Republican congressmen coming out of these two states.
Yeah.
So is that one? What is causing that?
Well, I think I think it has something to do with and on the lines of what Dr. Hines just said. I think there's some alignment with just tradition, how they've been swinging thus far, and I think and then I would have to look into, especially California, because it's kind of hard to tell sometimes with a state like California, because it's so vast, right? And I think sometimes it could go either way. Like you talked about earlier, how those who were Democratic groups or states, they flipped back to Republic this time around. So I think with states like California, I honestly feel like it could go either way, depending on who's running and then what's on the agenda. So I think that's for me, that's what it seemed like previously.
Let me tell you my theory about New York. And if you look at New York, we have had Republican governors, statewide election, right? Democratic governors. And then you look at a big block like New York City, we have had mayors from both parties. So there is something going on there, it can be, in terms of a good Republican candidate at a presidential level against a Democratic candidate that is not as perceived to be as strong. That's a state that can flip.
Yeah.
Yep, big time, can flip. Because you look at the national level, even at the senatorial level, they've gone both ways. Even though in presidential election, they tend to vote Democratic. But for governors, it's gone both ways. Frequently. Your thoughts, Dr. McCook?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the man in the street, the local, the person at the bottom of the ticket, the congressman, the mayors, and everything. These are people who the constituencies see, regularly. They're championing their cause locally. Um, when it comes down to the presidential election, yeah, it's a democratic state, but the man in the street, who, the councilman who will go and you and him go to the same barber shop and all that stuff, and you see what he's doing, you see the results of what he or she is doing for you, that has a great impact. So I think that's why I remember, when I lived in Jamaica, I think Dr. Laxley and I had a conversation that we had some people you call counselors for the community, and this guy was the best counselor. So I had to look beyond party and look at results, what he was doing. While the top of the ticket now, I'd go and vote for someone else. So I think it's that the man in the street effect that people can relate, rely on, touch you. Events are happening locally. This is the guy here, while the guy in your party ain't doing anything. So I think it's the man in the street, and it's result oriented.
Absolutely. Let's take a quick break, then come back, and we'll have a few more questions, and we'll wrap it up. Let's take a quick break.
Adrenaline's written of hearts that strive. Through fire and flame, they find their way, becoming iron where courage holds sway. Becoming iron, with heart forged in fire. Tales of courage and conviction rising even higher. Displaying strength in the fiercest fight. Becoming iron, shining in the night. Faces the darkest night. The empowered man fights with all his might. The resilient man stands unwavering and strong. The inspired man knows where he belongs. Together they rise, conquering fears, becoming iron through trials and fears.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back to Bridging Generations, Voices of Men in a Changing World. We have on set, we have Dr. Juan, we have Dr. Gary, and Dr. Hines, and we're talking about last Tuesday, general election. We have a change, we have a shift in the landscape, the political landscape. So let's talk a little bit about, move away from the presidential piece and talk about what happened in the senatorial race and Congress, what is going on. Because if right now we know the Republicans won the Senate, which is what, the upper house, and they're also looking very good in the congressional race as well. And we know they control the Supreme Court, right? And we know how this country works, right? We have the executive branch, we have the judicial branch, and we have the legislative branch. What will a country look like? A President Trump government look like and rule look like with control of all three branches of government? Juan, we'll start with you.
I'm still trying to figure that out. I think that's been I mentioned briefly earlier how I felt when I woke up Wednesday. That's where my mind was at. What is this going to look like going forward? And if you just paying attention to the news, how they gave him immunity, and so the charges he had before he no longer has them. So that just makes me think, with that type of control on that side, that I don't know. I'm wondering what they could look like.
What will the political landscape and the state of affairs and for us citizens? That is the question. Dr. McCook.
I always say, irrespective of who is in power, I have to find a way to survive. I have to find my little corner, my little niche to survive, and just try that things on the local level that will impact me more are within reach, and I can maneuver it. Um, with the with President-elect Trump going back in, there's a possibility that in the next 4 years he'll appoint 2 more Supreme Court justices,
Mhm.
and that's a reality.
Mhm.
They were very clever the last time around before President Obama came out that they delayed confirmation. And these guys know how to work the system. I don't know what's wrong with the Democrats on the other side, but the Democrats tend to falter pretty quick, while the Republicans stick together more over there for some reason. So it's going to be interesting. I'm hopeful that although they'll have all 3 branches, there may be some in within that have the heart or to stand up and say, hey, no, this can't go like this, and have some checks and balances. The problem is that historically, if you go against Mr. Prez, you're done. Liz Cheney is a perfect example of that. So if you go against Mr. Prez, you're done. He says, I remember some time ago he was talking about something and he said, president for life. That's I like that. So we got to be mindful that anything can happen. The Supreme Court, everything. The Supreme Court has given him full reign. Anything you do as a president can be, once you can classify it as a presidential act, then there's no repercussion there, So it's a free reign. We just have to be a prayerful set of people and just lean on the Father up above and just ask him to protect us. That's all we can do right now, and just hope that some of the ideas that were voiced to win the election were basically, as many of his people say, oh, he was just talking, and they will not, they will not be implemented, because if all of those are implemented, my gosh, when I'm leaving my subdivision, I have to be careful and make sure I bow. I don't want to go to that stage to be bowing to anyone. But it's a trying time. It's a very tense time. But I think we will prevail. We will prevail. There's a lot of looking down in tender love.
Of course, we will prevail. What's that thing called? Project that was
2025.
Yeah, what's that thing?
2025.
Is that in play? Is that in play now, Dr. Hines? Is Project 25 in play?
Well, I really don't know. I'm not even sure what's in Project 25, to tell you the truth. But the bits and pieces that I've been able to glean from the news, it doesn't sound as if it's in the best interest of a democracy. So I look forward to learning more about it. It's kind of like my grandmother's phase of the watch. So I'll be very, very watchful to see exactly what Project 2025 has. And at the same time, we got to be willing to expect change. America has spoken, and America has voted to change. So I don't think it would be reasonable for a reasonable person to think, well, it's going to be business as usual, because I don't think it will be. But at the same time, that does not render us helpless. So if there are instances that crop up that is not in our best interest, we got to fight. Nothing new to us. We've done it in the past, and we will do it now, and we'll continue to do it in the future. So I think we just have a duty to ourselves and our future to watch, fight, and pray.
Watch, fight, and pray. Gentlemen, we're drawing down on our conversation tonight. Let's do that piece that we call closing argument. And Juan, we've been going with you. You've been leading off, so let's do that. You take the lead.
You know, this show, how it opens up, I think speaks is to exactly what we're talking about today tonight, and providing a voice or even figuring out how to navigate the complexities of life in a changing world is what we're going through now. And so one thing I know is that as much as they say change is the one thing that's constant, and it is G touched on this just a few minutes ago, but the one constant that we all know is God, and he's still in control. And so my thing is, regardless of what the circumstances are, we do have a higher power, who has the final say so. And oftentimes we look naturally, but it's something going on spiritually. And so I just have to trust, and we all should trust that wherever we are, regardless of who's in the office, and what's coming down the pike, that we're covered. And that's what I leave. I think just in even this conversation is just remembering and believing. That's how faith works. You may not see it at first, but I'm standing strong and believing that we're covered. And whatever we need to know, that information will be provided in the time that it needs to be provided. So that's all I got.
That's a lot. That's all you got, but it's a lot. Thank you, Dr. Wall. You just want to comment on something that you just said. And I wonder, how different is our life based on who is the president? Personally, how much of an impact on us personally?
I honestly think it's a major impact, and this one in particular, I honestly feel like I feel strongly about this, that it's going to cause us almost like an awakening. When we can actually see who is in office again, but it will cause us to really come together and figure out a way through, and what we can do differently. And I'm hoping for that. I really do think that because of who the president-elect, that it's going to cause some changes, some shifts. But I think on a positive side too, that there are going to be some changes and some shifts, and it is going to take some awareness, self-awareness, awareness in communities, how we move, how we operate, how we use our voices. So I honestly believe that.
Well, an immediate impact is a situation with immigrants, illegal immigrants. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that was priority. That was at the top of the list.
And it's going to go into effect day one.
Yeah.
So right there is a change, a shift that is not just words, but will be impactful. Dr. McCook, your closing piece.
You mentioned about the immigrants, and I think there are going to be those who are advising him that, look, during the campaign, you mentioned this massive thing, but let's think about the impact on the labor force. And if we send everyone back, it's going to be detrimental. So I think there's going to be someone there talking to him and let him know, yes, you can do it, but that scale that you're talking about, you got to be very careful. We got to tweak it somewhat. And that's how politics is. They preach one thing, and then when the reality comes now, they have to tweak it. For us as a people, we got to talk to our brothers and sisters and tell them, hold your head up high. You've done your part. You voted and your voice has been heard, but it's just that there are other voices that were louder than yours. So we can't be disgruntled and hold ourselves down. When these things happen, I hear a lot of time people say, oh, I'm going to move from here, I'm going to go there and everything. If we run, we're not helping the situation. We got to stay and fight As Art said, what is the term, Art? Look, fight. You have a good, your grandma, whatever grandma was saying. I think we have to hold on to that, and we can get up and run. What this has done, it has made us realize who we're surrounded by. We're still in a place where we can function, and that took years upon years of people's sacrifice in the 60s for us to be able to do that right now. So there's still hope. There's still hope. I mean, I where I live here, there's a monument that says, if I can recall, when country call we fought, when duty call we died, or something like that. And I always joke when I'm going on the mountain there, and I see these cannons and the replicas of what happened in the past. And I always joke and say, can you imagine those folks back then see me run and say, damn, what a strong X-Man, but now we're free to rove. So we've come a long way. So if we gave up then, we wouldn't be here today. So we cannot give up now. We got to be steadfast.
Steadfast. Dr. Hines?
Yes. Well, it's a new day. I think that we can definitely expect change. But then as I think about it, change is not new to us. Mm-mm. Change has been a prominent part of our lives, as a matter of fact, as it has everybody's life. I think it's a matter of how we handle the change. What do we do with the change? Regardless of what the nature of the change is, there's always an opportunity in that nature to take that change and convert it and make it work for you. I've spent a considerable part of my life in sales. And in sales, we take a look at the change of the new product that comes out as a result of the change. And regardless to what that new product looks like, we got to take note of the features of it. What are the features of that product? What are the advantages of that feature? So once we understand the feature of the product, then look for the advantage. I don't care who brought the change. Look for the advantage of it. How can I benefit from it? So just keep in mind, regardless of what change comes, look at the features, look at the advantages of it, look at the benefits. How can you change it? Make it work for your benefit. Make the assessment. So I think that's where we need to spend our time and our energy and our mindset, making sure that whatever change comes, that we can take advantage of it for our own good. And the last thing I want to say is a kind of echo Dr. Juan, who said, God is in control. God is still in control. God is not asleep. So I have to end with my grandmother saying again, we just got to watch, fight, and pray.
Watch, fight, and pray. According to Art's grandmother, quoting his grandmother. We got to make a note of that one. That's a powerful piece. Watch, fight, and pray. For me, it's obvious that we live in a very divided country. And it's been a divided country for a long, long time. And it's even more divided now. Just that this pendulum is swinging in one direction to the right. And I think that's a big, 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 big thing. I think with that type of division, when you look at the campaign, right? And when you look at the campaign and you look at those rallies and you look at one side and you see it's it was so specific and defined that who attended that campaign, that rally. And then you look at the other side, and it was more of an America that was very different. So clearly, these campaigns, the party in power right now, there's they're communicating what they're going to do. They communicate what they're going to do. You look at who will likely head the Speaker of the House, and you know, what was that, Speaker Johnson? There's nothing hidden there. It's an open book, right? Very predictable. Very predictable. When you look at, well, who is going to be the leader in the Senate Majority Leader? We don't know yet, right? Because is McConnell there still? He was having health issues, right?
He's leaving.
He's leaving, right? He's leaving. Well, who's going to take over there? So, and they having a government where you have the judiciary branch of the government fully supporting you. And you hear talk about the Attorney General office. It's going to be under the executive department. That used to be an office that is independent. That is going to change. I think we must be mindful and focus on the predictability of this government and the uncertainties as well. Because there will be a lot of that. There will be a lot of that. So now, something you said, Dr. McCook, is we also have a responsibility, each of us as individuals, to whatever it is we need to do to take care of us. We need to do that. And it's probably more urgent now than ever before. Because there are going to be some changes. And I believe that movement of getting the immigrants out of here is going to be done large scale.
Massive.
Because it's a promise that must be kept. Just like the promise you made to your mom's art. You had to keep it. That is a promise. So you will see immigrants getting out of here. It won't be scaled back or scaled down. That's all about part of making America great again. It's real. It's reality. It's reality. So, we ought to be very mindful that elections have consequences. They do, right? And the consequences are the realities that we'll be dealing with in the upcoming 4 years. So that's my take. That's my closing argument. So Juan, this is your piece. You know what you do.
So again, despite what everyone may be feeling, we thank you for tuning in, checking us out. Please like, comment, and share. Join the conversation from week after week. We will see you at the same time, same day next week, Thursday, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Go in peace. As a great philosopher says, go in peace and not in pieces. So we wish you all well and have a good night.
Good night. We have to repeat that one. Repeat that one. We need to hear that again.
Go in peace and not in pieces.
On that note, we go in peace.
I'm a boy kid, I'm a boy kid. I'm a boy kid, I'm a boy kid. I wake up in the morning and I praise the Lord. I thank Him for His protection, and I walk in His steps, declaring that today's provision is set up for me. I love God and I love my friends. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I put on my armor and I read His word. Blessing come out of my mouth, cause I know to whom I belong. I am bold for Christ. Holy Spirit dwelling within me, carrying His presence wherever He sends me. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid.